There's something every man has noticed, but few can explain. Some women completely lose control of their bodies around certain men. They play with their hair, laugh for no reason, look away, or become speechless. It's not magic, nor is it luck, it's pure psychology. Behind that nervousness are signals, gestures, and behaviors that stir deep emotions that can't be hidden. What's interesting is that it has nothing to do with beauty or age, but with presence, the ability to create a subtle emotional imbalance that makes her feel something she can't rationalize. And right at that moment, when she feels slightly out of control, that's when real attraction begins. Many men believe that to attract a woman they have to talk a lot, show interest, or appear to be the perfect guy. But the more they try, the less it works. Because attraction doesn't respond to logic, it responds to sensations. She doesn't connect with your words, but with the energy you project, with what you make her feel without saying a thing. It's in that play of looks, silences, tone of voice, and attitude where the nerves and chemistry are triggered. And when a man learns how to use that naturally, without forcing it, he makes a woman remember him without even knowing why. That's the real difference between sparking interest and provoking desire. If this is your first time here, my name is Celia. I specialize in female psychology and in teaching men how to create attraction through behavior, not neediness. In this video, I want to show you how that invisible language works, the one that awakens powerful emotions in a woman, and what specific actions make her feel nervous around you. I invite you to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming content, and most importantly, stay until the end, because the last strategy is the most powerful one of all, and it works almost every time. Let's begin. Nothing throws a woman off balance more than the gaze of a man who knows exactly what he's communicating. A steady, calm, unhurried look has the power to make time stand still for a moment. It's not a challenging or empty stare, but a mix of curiosity and composure that projects confidence. When a man holds her gaze without needing to speak, she begins to feel emotionally exposed. She becomes aware of herself, her breathing, her gestures. It's as if everything around them fades away, leaving only two presences facing each other in silence. And that silence, when used well, becomes the most powerful language of all. Most men fill the silence with words, trying to prove something, when in fact, controlled silence creates a much stronger impact. In the feminine world, silence isn't absence, it's an open space that invites imagination. And when she starts imagining, she becomes emotionally involved. The man who can hold that moment without rushing, without feeling uncomfortable, shows a kind of emotional strength that doesn't need to assert itself. That quiet tension creates what's known as psychological microtension, a mix of attraction and a pleasant unease. She feels disarmed and she can't explain why. By now, we understand that the gaze is the first doorway into that space where words become unnecessary. Now think about what you're communicating without speaking: your posture, facial expression, breathing. A steady look paired with a neutral expression without an immediate smile sparks curiosity and throws her off balance. Women are used to avoiding gazes or looks loaded with instant intent. But when they face a gaze that observes them calmly, without anxiety, they feel something different, genuine interest with complete self-control, and that contrast unsettles them deeply. The secret lies in not seeking a reaction, but enjoying the moment's presence. When a man looks expecting something in return, he projects neediness. But when he looks calmly, simply enjoying the connection, he shows inner power. What makes her nervous isn't the act of looking, it's the energy behind it, the energy of someone who needs nothing, yet chooses to focus on her. That silent choice is more powerful than any compliment. Because while others seek approval, you simply observe, and that alone makes her feel special and vulnerable at the same time. There are moments when words break the magic. A conversation can be pleasant, but a pause charged with intention can be unforgettable. She may vividly remember a single silent moment if the energy was right. That's why learning to hold eye contact and enjoy those seconds of stillness isn't a technique. It's an attitude. It's not about dominance, it's about presence. And when a woman feels that presence without physical contact or words, her body reacts before her mind can understand it. That's where nervousness begins. Short breaths, a racing pulse, the urge to look away. Eye contact and silence don't require theatrical practice, only authenticity and emotional control. They're a way of showing that you're comfortable with yourself, that you don't need to fill the space with explanations. When you do that, she starts to feel the balance shift, sensing that you set the rhythm without forcing it, that there's something about you she can't quite figure out. And that, precisely, is what keeps her nervous, alert, and emotionally engaged. There's something about the male voice that has a direct effect on a woman's nervous system. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. A low voice, with a calm rhythm and steady tone, has the power to soothe while at the same time creating an inner tension she can't control. It's a sensory stimulus, the sound, the cadence, and the way the air vibrates when you speak. It's not about faking a deep voice, but about speaking from the body, not the throat. That difference is instantly noticeable because it conveys confidence, control, and restrained sexual energy. When a man communicates without rushing, using natural pauses and speaking with calm modulation, he shows that he's comfortable in any situation. And that kind of composure has an irresistible effect. The woman feels that he's not trying to convince or impress her, he's simply enjoying the exchange naturally. That steady masculine energy gives her a sense of trust, but also of mystery. Deep down, she wonders why her body reacts to a simple conversation. It's because tone doesn't just carry words, it carries emotion, and when the emotion runs deep, the body responds before the mind. In the previous points, we saw how eye contact and silence create an initial unspoken connection. Now, the voice amplifies that effect. If the gaze is something she feels, the voice is something she hears and remembers. When a man speaks with a smooth, effortless tone, he's projecting inner command. A woman perceives that vibration as both comforting and unsettling. That duality between calm and power is what unbalances her. It's the sense of being before someone who could lose control but chooses not to, and that conscious choice draws her in deeply. A detail many overlook is that the voice isn't only heard, it's felt. When you speak close to her, even without physical contact, the vibration in your tone travels through the air and reaches her skin. That subtle physical resonance creates a real physiological response. She notices it in her breathing, her posture, the way her tone changes when she answers. The conversation turns into an invisible energy game. That's why there's no need to raise your voice or force words. Just keep your tone steady, unhurried, and genuine. In that cadence lies the key to making her nervous without saying anything explicit. A man who controls his voice controls the emotion of the moment. He doesn't need to shout to command presence or speak fast to keep interest. On the contrary, a slower rhythm forces the other person to follow, to match her breathing to his. It's a subtle, almost unconscious form of leadership. While you stay centered, she starts syncing emotionally with you. That sensory harmony is what creates the most captivating tension, the kind that can't be resolved with words, only with the feeling that something could happen at any second. And here's the most important detail. The male voice shouldn't just sound firm, it must be congruent. A low tone is useless if your words convey insecurity or neediness. The alignment between what you say, how you say it, and what you project is what truly creates impact. When your words and your energy are in sync, a woman feels it as truth. And truths spoken calmly, without anxiety, are the ones that disarm her the most. Because while others try to prove their worth with arguments, you convey it with a simple, "I like the way you think," said at the right moment, with a pause that leaves space for silence to do its work. Speaking from calmness is a form of mature seduction. It's not performance, it's energy awareness. A steady, deep, and sincere voice has the power to enter her mind and keep resonating long after you're gone. And that emotional echo is what keeps her thinking about you later, wondering why, just by talking to you. She felt something inside her shift. There's a kind of tension that can't be seen but can be felt, the space that separates two people who are attracted to each other. A man who knows how to move within that space creates a mix of intrigue and nervousness that no words could ever achieve. It's not about getting closer than necessary, but about finding the exact point where your presence becomes unmistakable without crossing the line. It's the moment when she feels your energy before she feels your touch, when her body starts to anticipate something that hasn't happened yet. That anticipation, that small rush, is the essence of the game of space. Most men overlook the importance of physical proximity. Some get too close and break the tension. Others stay so far away that they become forgettable. But when you can stay right at that delicate limit, you project a magnetic energy that unsettles her in the best way. You don't do anything obvious, you don't touch, you don't talk more than you should. You're just there, fully present, confidently taking up space. In that moment, she starts to feel different. Her breathing shifts, her tone softens, her body reacts to a presence she can't ignore. What she feels isn't fear, it's the awareness of attraction. With that in mind, the body becomes a communication tool far more powerful than words. Every movement matters. When you walk near her but don't brush against her, when you lean in slightly to listen but stay in control, you create an emotional microclimate. She can't help but wonder what would happen if you took half a step closer. That question keeps her in a pleasant state of alertness. She doesn't know whether to move toward you or away from you, and that's the beauty of it. The space between you becomes the stage where tension grows naturally. Mastering space isn't about intimidation, it's about balance. When a man is comfortable with distance, he doesn't try to close it out of need. He knows that he doesn't have to touch to make an impact. That calm confidence gives a woman the sense that she could come closer if she wanted to, but that you don't need her to. And that changes everything. It makes her part of the game. You're not pressuring her. You're giving her freedom, and in that freedom, desire is born. Because desire doesn't come from contact, it comes from possibility. Using space wisely also means knowing when to pull back. A small step back, a pause, a moment of silence. Those can heighten tension more than any obvious move. Distance becomes its own language. Getting closer communicates intention. Stepping back communicates control. That well-balanced combination is an invisible choreography that keeps emotion alive. And when a woman senses that you handle that rhythm naturally, her body reacts with that pleasant nervousness that feels a lot like desire. Some men chase instant attraction, but those who understand the value of space know that the strongest attraction is built in silence. It's the energy of what might happen, not what already has. When she starts to feel your presence, even without seeing you, when she notices that the atmosphere shifts the moment you enter a room, it's because you've learned to master that invisible space between the physical and the emotional. And that mastery can't be taught with words. It's communicated through calm, posture, and full awareness. Invite her to feel that tension with you without forcing it. Shared space is an emotional language that only sensitivity can decode. Learning to play with it is understanding that true magnetism doesn't come from touch. It comes from making her imagine what it would feel like if you did. That thought alone is enough to make her nervous and keep her caught in your energy long after you've walked away. At this point, I'd like to invite you to take a short pause. If you're enjoying this content, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, left a like, and commented with your name and country so I can see where in the world this community is growing from. I always read the comments, and it means a lot to know there are men out there genuinely trying to improve their connections and the way they relate to others. If you'd also like to share your personal experience or a piece of advice from your own story, I'd love to read it. That said, let's get back to it. One of the most subtle and effective ways to make a woman nervous is through suggestion, not with empty words or direct comments, but with phrases that leave room for imagination. Double meaning is the bridge between curiosity and desire. It neither confirms nor denies, it hints. The female mind reacts intensely to what it can't fully decode, and when a man masters that art, He turns every conversation into a small psychological dance. What's attractive isn't what you say, it's what she interprets behind your words. The mistake most men make is thinking they have to be explicit to create attraction, but explicitness kills mystery while ambiguity feeds it. When a sentence can be understood in more than one way, a woman processes it on multiple levels, consciously and subconsciously. A slow reply, a faint smile at the end of a sentence, or a steady look while saying something seemingly innocent are enough to send a completely different message. In that space between what's said and what's implied, nervousness begins to bloom. We've already seen how the body and silence can create tension without touch. Now, words come into play as an emotional vehicle, but not just any words. Suggestion isn't a trick, it's a form of emotional communication that appeals to her imagination. For example, saying, "I'm not sure I should tell you this," and pausing for a second before continuing, immediately creates anticipation. She wonders what you're about to say, what part of yourself you're about to reveal. And even if what you say next is something neutral, her body has already reacted to the pause, not the content. Double meaning also allows you to use humor, one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs. A well-timed joke, playful but never vulgar, sparks a sense of fun and complicity. When she laughs with you, not at you, she relaxes, yet feels emotionally exposed at the same time. That's when the sweet kind of nervousness appears, the mix between laughing and feeling caught off guard. That instant when she realizes there's an intention behind your words, but can't quite call it out. Balance is everything. Cross the line and you break the tension. Fall short and the moment goes cold. The secret lies in rhythm, in alternating seriousness with lightness. A woman gets nervous when she can't quite predict your next move, when she senses that behind your calm exterior there's a hidden thought. That's why suggestion isn't about manipulation. It's about awakening her imagination. It's inviting her to play without saying a game is being played. It's talking about one thing while secretly talking about another. Suggestion also requires authenticity. If it feels forced, it loses all effect. It has to come naturally from the moment, not from a memorized line. It might be a phrase, a tone, a casual remark said effortlessly. What matters is that she senses there's intention behind it, but that you're in control of it. That feeling that you could say more, but choose not to, is what keeps her in suspense. It's the verbal equivalent of moving closer and stopping right before touching her. When you master the language of double meaning, conversation stops being a logical exchange and becomes an emotional stimulus. She doesn't just listen to you, she feels you. And that kind of connection, which blends playfulness, mystery, and presence, turns a simple chat into a memorable experience. A woman might not remember exactly what you said, but she'll remember how she felt while you said it. And when you achieve that, you've planted a seed that keeps growing in her mind long after the conversation is over. Nothing unsettles a woman more than a man who doesn't react the way she expects. Most are used to men trying to please, getting flustered, or working too hard to convince. But when she meets someone who stays centered and calm, something inside her shifts. She starts watching you more closely, trying to read you, wondering what lies behind that composure. That mystery throws her off balance because her emotional system receives a contradictory signal. She feels attraction, yet she doesn't have control over the situation. And that precisely is what makes her nervous. Emotional control isn't coldness, it's inner strength. It's the ability to hold tension without needing to resolve it right away. When a man doesn't lose his temper under pressure, when he responds calmly to the unexpected, he radiates maturity and self-mastery. That emotional stability has a direct effect on attraction. A woman feels both safe and intrigued. She realizes she can't manipulate your mood, and that impossibility sparks curiosity. Deep down, she wonders how strong your inner world must be to remain so calm amid chaos. In the previous points, we learned to use eye contact, voice, space, and suggestion. But all of that loses power without emotional control. Because true magnetism doesn't come from what you do, it comes from what you don't do. When someone tries to provoke or test you, and you simply respond with a calm smile, you're not avoiding conflict, you're showing mastery. That difference is crucial. Women can sense when a man acts out of need versus when he acts out of choice. And that distinction marks the boundary between pleasant nervousness and indifference. To that calmness, you need to add a touch of unpredictability, not by acting erratically or immaturely, but by avoiding total predictability. When every response is logical, linear, and expected, you lose magnetism. But if you occasionally break the pattern, with an unexpected pause, a shift in tone, or an honest reply that doesn't aim to please, you create a small emotional jolt. She can't anticipate your reaction, and that keeps her alert, attuned to every nuance. The female brain loves what it can't predict, as long as it comes from someone grounded and self-assured. Emotional control combined with unpredictability creates an irresistible paradox. She sees you as both reliable and fascinating. She doesn't know if you'll smile or stay silent, if you'll stay or walk away. That duality captivates her because it stirs both curiosity and desire. In that emotional tension, she feels vividly alive, and the most powerful part is, you're not doing anything out of place. You're simply acting from a place of grounded presence without chasing an outcome. Your serenity is the foundation, your spontaneity is the spark. When a woman encounters an emotionally stable man, her mind starts projecting scenarios. She wonders how you'd react in different situations, how it would be to argue with you, to be close to you. She doesn't analyze it, she imagines it. And the more she imagines, the more invested she becomes. That's why maintaining control isn't about distancing yourself. It's about letting her step into that mystery without you having to explain yourself. When she can't predict your next move, she can't stop thinking about you. Calmness and unpredictability can't be faked. They're trained. They come from knowing yourself, understanding your emotions, and not letting them control you. When you achieve that, you project a mature, grounded energy that's impossible to imitate. That's the energy that makes a woman feel nervous without knowing why, not because of what you say or do, but because she senses you're fully centered, unshakable. That silent confidence is the kind of power that doesn't need to be announced, but it's always felt. And it's without a doubt one of the most powerful forms of emotional attraction. There's a sixth strategy that completely disarms a woman and works in almost every situation, showing controlled vulnerability. It's not about weakness or dramatic confessions, but about opening a small emotional window without losing your steadiness. When a man can show his humanity with composure, it awakens something very deep in a woman. She feels empathy, tenderness, and desire all at once. It's a strange combination that throws her off balance because she can't place you as the typical distant man or the needy one. She perceives you as genuine, and that authenticity makes her nervous. Secure vulnerability is born from the balance between strength and openness. You don't need to talk about your fears, just show that you have emotions and handle them with maturity. For example, when you share a personal experience without dramatizing it, when you admit that something affected you but turned it into growth, you're displaying a level of self-awareness few men reach. That gesture inspires both respect and emotional connection. She feels she can see you without armor, yet senses you're still solid. That mix is magnetic. It breaks the stereotype of the untouchable man and the fragile one. Up to this point, we've seen how eye contact, voice, space, suggestion, and emotional control create tension. But this last strategy transforms that tension into connection. Because what truly keeps a woman interested isn't just mystery, it's emotional intimacy. When a man dares to reveal a small part of his inner world without losing composure, he creates a bond that goes beyond the physical. And that connection, far from diminishing attraction, deepens it. It's the most powerful paradox of all. The more real you are, the more impact you have. Secure vulnerability also communicates confidence. Only a man who feels whole can show himself as he is without fear of judgment. That honesty creates a sharp contrast with most, who try to impress by hiding their flaws. You, on the other hand, choose to show them calmly, knowing your worth doesn't depend on concealing who you are. She senses it instantly, and her reaction is emotional. She opens up, lowers her guard, and at the same time feels nervous. Because when faced with someone that authentic, she can't keep her rational defenses up. Showing vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or seeking comfort. It means having the courage to let your humanity show with dignity. A simple line like, "Sometimes it's hard for me to trust, but I'm learning to do it more," can have more impact than any display of power. That controlled transparency creates instant intimacy. She realizes she can truly see you, not as a role or a mask. And that changes everything, because a woman's deepest desire isn't to be impressed, but to feel understood. When you manage to balance vulnerability and strength, you project a complete masculinity, solid yet sensitive, rational yet emotionally open. And that rare combination provokes a powerful reaction in a woman, one she can't easily process. The calmness of a man who knows and accepts himself can be more attractive than any technique or strategy, because behind that serenity lies truth, and truth always stirs emotion. That's the secret strategy that works 99% of the time, because it doesn't rely on manipulation, it relies on connection. When a man shows himself as human, authentic, and at peace with his own story, a woman feels something that transcends the physical. She feels she's in front of someone real, and in the presence of something real, the body trembles, the breath quickens, and the mind searches for answers it can't explain. That nervousness isn't weakness, it's recognition, and that recognition is the kind of attraction that lasts long after the game is over. Making a woman nervous has nothing to do with manipulating her or using empty tricks. It's about understanding her emotional language, knowing that sensations come before thoughts, and that true attraction is created when a man masters his own energy, not the other person. Eye contact, silence, voice, space, suggestion, control, and vulnerability are all different ways of expressing the same thing: presence. When she feels your presence, her attention, desire, and respect awaken. That's where genuine connection is born, the kind that doesn't depend on lines or strategies, but on who you are when you're calm. A man who makes a woman nervous in this way doesn't create anxiety, he creates emotion. He doesn't impose, he invites. He doesn't pressure, he inspires. The woman who feels that way around you isn't afraid, she feels alive. And that only happens when your inner frame is solid, when you know you don't have to prove anything because you already know who you are. Mature attraction is quiet, natural, almost invisible, but its impact is powerful and lasting. What truly unsettles her isn't your looks or your words, it's your ability to stay calm while she's trying to figure you out. That serenity is what confuses her the most and what draws her in the deepest. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. If this content brought you value, I invite you to subscribe, leave a like, and share your name and country in the comments so we can see where in the world this community of men who strive to grow and build healthy relationships is coming from. I read every comment, and it's a true honor to see you reflect and share from your own experience. This space exists because of that honest exchange, and your support allows me to keep creating content to help you move forward on your path. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, attraction can't be forced, it's something you radiate.